The retrial of Karen Reed, accused of killing her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, began on April 1st, 2025, following a 2024 mistrial due to a hung jury. Prosecutors allege that after a night of drinking, Reed dropped O'Keefe off at fellow officer Brian Albert's home in Canton, Massachusetts, and intentionally struck him with her SUV, leaving him to die in the snow. They cite evidence such as broken taillight fragments and John O'Keefe's DNA on Karen Reed's vehicle. The defense contends that O'Keefe was fatally injured inside the house and that Karen Reed is being framed in a cover-up involving law enforcement. They point to alleged investigative misconduct by former lead investigator, Trooper Michael Proctor, who was later fired for inappropriate behavior during this investigation. And now, as the prosecution gets close to wrapping their case, more important expert testimony and some unexpected jury drama. Tonight, we have all the latest and all the big moments as the retrial of the century continues. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Let's take a moment to think about the big picture now in this retrial of the century. And there is one central question to it all, and it's about Boston police officer John O'Keefe. How did he die? How did he die? This is not an easy question to answer. I'm going to explain why in just a moment. But if you speak to folks online, posting comments in chat rooms, etc., depending upon which side you're on, both sides believe it's an easy question. And if you dare say you believe something else, you get attacked. You're not smart. You don't get it. Both sides in this, whether you fall on the Karen Reed side or the prosecution side, when you ask that question, how did he die, they say it's obvious. It's obvious. Well, obviously it's not obvious. We saw that in 2024. 12 people who had one job, which was to figure out what happened and deliver a verdict, could not deliver a verdict. That is the best evidence of all that this is not obvious and this is not an easy question to answer. How did Officer John O'Keefe die? Well, Karen Reed knows the truth about whether or not she backed up her SUV and struck him on purpose. She knows the answer to that question. There is no doubt. She knows. Now, she has denied it publicly. People on the other side are going to accuse her of lying. But we know that she knows the truth about whether she did or did not purposely back up that SUV and hit John O'Keefe. But she didn't testify in the first trial. And it's likely she won't testify here in the second trial. Now, the second trial, they are playing clips of interviews that she did, but an interview is much different than testifying and being cross-examined live in front of a jury. It's way different. And this is one of the reasons that, again, this is not an easy question, because someone who knows whether or not she did what prosecutors accused her of likely will not testify in this case. Now, former trooper Michael Proctor knows the truth about whether or not he framed Karen Reed. He knows. He's denied it, but people on the other side will say he's lying about that. Now, Trooper Michael Proctor knows the answer to that question, to the allegation that's coming from the defense. But guess what? Doesn't look like he's testifying either. So, if the person who knows whether or not this was a frame job and the person who knows whether or not she struck him on purpose, and neither one of them are testifying in this case for this jury, does that make this question of how he died easier or more difficult for the jury? More difficult. Will they figure it out? Will they figure it out this time? Well, one way that the prosecution wants them to figure this all out is from digital evidence and expert testimony. Prosecutors are relying on that, and the defense is relying on that as well. And we've got battle of the experts going, different interpretations of evidence. You know, clips of Karen Read that can be interpreted more than one way. Like I said at the top, it's not an easy question, despite the fact of what both sides will tell you is an obvious answer. If you're being honest, it's not obvious. And it was difficult in the first trial, and it may be more difficult in the second trial. Matt Johnson, Court TV crime and justice correspondent, was in the courtroom today and has more for us tonight from Dedham.
Hey, Vinnie, a big day of testimony here in Dedham. Week 5 ends with a new witness on the stand, the neurosurgeon.
Did you have an opportunity to review photographs of a laceration to Mr. John O'Keefe's head?
Yes, I did.
Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty whether this injury, the laceration and the basal fracture, was caused by Mr. O'Keefe falling backwards on the ground?
My opinion is that that's what caused his whole injury.
Dr. Ezek Wolf was a much-anticipated witness. He analyzed John O'Keefe's injuries and determined his head injury was from a fall backwards. On cross, he was asked about John O'Keefe's eye injury.
Raccoon eyes, the medical term for that, sir, is ecchymosis, right?
Correct.
Ecchymosis, raccoon eyes, does not cause a laceration to form on an eyelid, does it?
No.
Day 20 started with concern from the court, which prompted all 18 jurors to be questioned individually by the judge, and the reason is still unknown.
I do need to stress for you that it's very, very important that no one discuss this case, don't let anyone talk to you about the case, no comments about the case. You've seen how hard the lawyers have worked to pull this case together for you, and everybody's given it so much time. So please let's make sure that we follow that.
The day ended with testimony about microscopic pieces of plastic consistent with the taillight found in debris with Officer O'Keefe's clothing.
With reference to the red plastic from item 7-18.18 from Mr. O'Keefe's clothing, in your comparison of that red plastic with the red plastic from the passenger side taillight of the defendant's vehicle, item 3-1, what did you conclude from that analysis?
So the red plastic that I sampled from item from the debris from the clothing from 7-18.18 was found to be consistent in color, microscopic appearance, and instrumental properties with the portions that I sampled from the red plastic from the taillight. So accordingly, the red plastic from item 7-18.18 could have originated from the red plastic that I sampled from the taillight. It could have come from, they could have a common origin, or it could have come from another source with the same characteristics.
Right. So in other words, another way to say that, Ms. Hanley, is it may have come from the taillight, may not have.
Outside the courthouse, Karen Read had this to say. Take a listen. Wrapping up week 5, how do you feel?
I feel great. I'm anxious. I'm ready to put on our case, which will be more robust than it was last year. So I'm anxious for everyone to learn what we know.
And court is dark tomorrow through the long holiday weekend, but testimony will continue on Tuesday. Vinnie?
All right, Matt Johnson in Dedham, Massachusetts. And again, talking about the jury gets a few extra days off. Well, there was some jury drama today, so let's talk about it. Let's bring in our think tank live in studio, criminal defense attorney Daryl Cohen, criminal defense attorney and law professor Meg Strickler, and family law attorney and law professor Randy Kessler. Great to see everyone tonight.
Good to be here.
Let's talk about this. Let's take a listen to the judge, because something happened before court. We got an extended shot of the fan in the ceiling because it's all happening at sidebar. Let's take a listen to Judge Cannoni.
So An issue has come to my attention that is going to make it necessary that I talk to each one of you individually over at sidebar with counsel. So that process will take a little while. So I'm going to, don't speculate as to what I'm going to talk to you about. Please, when you go back to the deliberation room, talk about anything but this case, and I'll see each of you individually. And the process may take, the cameras will be shut off, and I'm going to talk to the lawyers about whether we clear the court.
Okay, so the jury was told not to speculate about what this is all about, but we can. Okay, how unusual is it in the middle of a trial to bring in the jurors one at a time to talk about whatever?
If Tom Jones was singing, he would say it's not unusual. I say it's extremely unique and extremely unusual. Obviously, something of major importance has taken place, and the judge wants to stop it yesterday.
Okay. Go ahead. The question is, if something unusual happened, did you do anything about it, right? When it's on appeal, Judge, you knew about this and you didn't do anything. Now she's got an answer. I did something. I talked to them and I figured it out and I was okay with it. It's a judgment call. Sounds like she did the right thing, whatever the issue was.
It turns out, like, if it's something that's going to be mistrial level, you know, we don't know. Was somebody influencing them? Were they paid? Did they post something? Did they text somebody? It'll come out in the future, but it just
How about
depends.
the fact that it's all of them? Because I've had situations where maybe they call in a couple. I had my own trial where one day after court, we saw two jurors speaking to each other, very animated fashion in the parking lot, so they were called in. But here, it's each and every juror, so it could be about something in the jury room.
It's
maybe.
an anonymous tip, I think, and somebody says that they have to figure out which one is the person that did it.
And that doesn't bother me, be it an anonymous tip or be it something that happened and the judge wants to address it with each and every individual juror so that no individual juror that think he or she is being singled out. So I'm okay with that.
Also, it could be just one juror, but you bring them all in so it doesn't look like someone did something wrong.
Right,
so it could be potentially misleading if you have all of them.
Right, you bring them in and you just say, I've got nothing to say to you, but I want it to look like I'm talking to everybody. Sit here for 30 seconds. Next juror. Right? And then you talk to the two, like in your case. Could be that.
And why do we do it all sidebar?
Because we don't want the world to know. That's why.
I've been in courtrooms where they do it, you know, on the record, like for the public to hear as well.
They don't want the public to hear this because all it's going to do is stir the pot.
Yeah.
More speculation as to what is or what isn't going on, why it is or is not a fair trial. This is wrong. This is right. This is everything.
It's unfortunate we didn't have the cameras because we could read body language or lips to see what happened.
We're definitely not doing that. We're staying away from those jurors. Let's take a listen to the judge now when they return to court after questioning all the jurors one at a time.
I do need to stress for you that it's very, very important that no one discuss this case, don't let anyone talk to you about the case, no comments about the case. You've seen how hard the lawyers have worked to pull this case together for you, and everybody's given it so much time. So please, let's make sure that we follow that. That means each other.
So Meg's right. There was an anonymous tip. Somebody said, I know that a juror heard this or did this, and the judge wanted to verify that nobody actually did what she was worried about. Because if it happened, it could be a mistrial. It could be something.
And that is major. The last thing in the world this judge wants to do, and the prosecution wants to do, maybe the defense, is retry the case for a third time.
Oh.
So, and at the end, she said, and she said this twice, emphasize the importance that don't talk about the case, that means with each other. How much of a problem is it if jurors alone in that jury room speak to each other about their feelings about the case before they start deliberating?
It's inevitable. It
How
happens.
often does it not happen, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't put your hand in the cookie jar, little boy.
Yeah.
It happens, but it's inappropriate, and if the court finds out and the rest of the world finds out, then the judge may have no choice but to declare a mistrial.
I think it's something worse.
The more I admonish, the better it is.
If that had actually happened and the judge discovered it, we wouldn't have continued today, right? There would have been, something would have happened.
Unless it was insignificant, right? So did you miss the first witness's testimony? I had my hearing aid out. You know, that's talking about the case, but it's not substantive. It's got to be something that would affect the outcome.
Yeah, when I was on the jury, we didn't talk. We talked about lunch. All we talked about was food. the whole time.
Oh, it's you.
Or how much longer is it going to go?
Well,
I hear
can,
that always.
You can see that jury was not in Fulton County, Georgia, because the food at best is minimum.
Abysmal.
Yeah, no, that was the
horrible.
problem. That's what we were thinking. Like, where are we going to get food? Where are we going? So, what do you think about this long weekend now? The jury having off Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. No, Monday. Wait.
I don't like
Thursday,
it.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 5 days.
I do not like it one bit. Why? Because number one, it gets you out of the pit, out of the arena.
Yep.
Number two, people have a chance to think and rethink again. It just doesn't feel good to me. I would have much preferred the judge maybe calling a halt for Memorial Day, but having testimony up until then and then immediately afterwards.
And maybe the discussion with the jurors was, look, we know you got a 5-day break. Do not look up this case. Don't read any comments about this case. Don't go on social media in any which way. And maybe it was a personal admonition for each one. Could be more benign.
But accidents are going to happen. Now there's more time for accidents to happen.
Yes.
I'm just going to check my Instagram for a minute, and all of a sudden the first thing you see is Karen Reed guilty.
I mean, depending upon your feed, right? If there's one thing that pops up, then there's 20 that pop up. And if you're in Dedham, Massachusetts, if you're in Norfolk County,
if you're a juror and your friends and followers know that, it has a, what do you call it, an algorithm, right?
Yep.
Hey, Bob, don't worry about it. It's okay. I'm just checking to see what's going on back there.
It's a matter of time that some case is going to get to the Supreme Court on this very issue. How the judge every night admonishes the jurors, make sure y'all don't talk to each other, make sure you don't look at any kind of news on this.
they have to self-report.
Unrealistic.
Oh, yeah,
They have to
that's gonna
self-report.
happen.
Let me ask you this. Any advantage that it seems we're very close to the end of the prosecution case, that we stop at this point before the defense has even started?
That's an advantage for the prosecution because all the jurors can think about is what the prosecution did or did
didn't.
not do.
Or didn't.
There you go. Or did not.
Wait, do I have a college degree? I can't remember. Do you have a college degree?
That's a definite maybe.
But you know, those prosecutors aren't prohibited from talking to people about it. They can engage the audience. They can talk to people in the public and say...
There's a gag order, though.
Yeah, but they can hear from people, you know, they can read stuff.
Yeah.
They can see what the reporting
How do
is.
you avoid it? I mean, this
They
is
can read
ridiculous.
social media. All right. Our think tank staying with us the whole hour. Great news. When we come back, we're going to hear from someone real smart. He's not a rocket scientist, but he is a brain surgeon, and he testified today. We'll do that, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, the retrial of the century continues in Dedham, Massachusetts, and we take a closer look at the digital evidence. Why doesn't it all line up? We'll bring in our own experts to investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates. Tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
Is Karen Reed a killer girlfriend
She's guilty.
or the scapegoat in an elaborate cover-up?
Karen Reed was free. We know who did it.
The Karen Reed Murder Retrial. Live coverage weekday mornings, 8/7 Central on Court TV.
Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty whether this injury, the laceration and the basal fracture, was caused by Mr. O'Keefe falling backwards on the ground?
My opinion is that that's what caused his whole injury.
Okay, that's interesting, right? This guy is a brain surgeon talking about the injuries to John O'Keefe that caused his death was from falling backwards on his head onto the ground. Now, obviously, that's consistent with the prosecution theory. I think arguably it could be consistent with the defense theory. If he's jumped inside the house and is knocked down, same thing could happen. But it's also potentially consistent with a third theory. And this came up on this program when we brought in our own independent expert, Dr. Priya Banerjee, talking about the manner of death. Remember, the medical examiner in this case said undetermined. So did not come to a conclusion on manner of death, but take a listen.
I don't understand why the intoxication with a slip and fall, a hard fall, where he can't break his fall, isn't under consideration. That, to me, when you fall on a frozen ground, even with ice, it's falling on an ice rink, on a frozen slab. That's hard.
And I found this fascinating because Dr. Wolf, the neurobrain surgeon who testified today, said it could be from a fall. You don't have to be struck by a car. That has nothing to do with the injuries. It's the fall caused by gravity. It's the gravity that causes the speed. It had nothing to do with whether or not he was struck by an SUV. Let's bring back in our think tank Daryl Cohen, Meg Strickler, Randy Kessler. What about that? Because sometimes juries say, hey, why isn't anyone talking about this? Why is no one talking about a man who was drinking all night, slipping in the snow and hitting his head?
I think it's very reasonable to make that assumption. I think it's very reasonable and it's intelligent for the prosecution to bring that up. But I don't think it's logical because the prosecution is putting together their case inch by inch, piece by piece, making a very strong case against Karen Reed, regardless of what the jury does or doesn't.
But all the defense has to do is nick
poke
that
hole
piece.
in it.
Right,
Yeah,
just
poke
poke a
holes.
hole in that piece. We watch sports, right? You're a Knicks fan. You watch the ball game, there's a bad hit. It's not the hit, it's not the block, it's when the player's head hits the ground. That's when the concussion happens. He fell. They proved that he fell. They didn't prove who pushed him or who hit him. They proved
Oh, yes, they did. They've proved it over and over again.
I don't agree. This case is.
You have a right to be wrong.
Exactly. Well done. Exactly right. I don't remember the prosecution has the burden here, and are they hitting the burden? I mean, that's what we got to think about. The confines of the four walls of that room is the prosecution proving their case. And did I think this guy did it? No.
Well, what's interesting, like all along we're focused on struck by the vehicle or ambushed inside the house.
Correct.
And all of a sudden we have the brain surgeon expert saying he fell backwards. So how did he fall backwards? He was drinking all night. It's snowing. It's slippery. You're under the influence.
And all that's been proved. Those are all facts.
Right. It's not in dispute. But yet no one at any point of this case, whether in the beginning, before the first trial, during the first trial, or any part of the second trial, has ever mentioned the word accident. Even when the medical examiner said undetermined, there was no question, like, undetermined, why is it undetermined? Isn't it a homicide? Or what else could it be if it's not homicide? Well, it could be an accident.
Here's the nice thing. Defense can say that in closing. They don't have any burden. You don't have to prove an alternate theory. You don't have to prove, here's what really happened, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You just have to prove there's another explanation. That's another explanation.
It's whether or not the jury buys it. There's obviously plausible deniability. But look at this courtroom. It's minuscule. The jury has an opportunity to constantly watch everyone, including the defendant, Karen Reed. And when they watch her facial expressions, her body language, they watch the witnesses.
She's a despicable character. That is true.
Absolutely. So,
but is that how you convict somebody?
That makes a difference.
It didn't make a difference in the first trial, though.
Well, she may not have been as bad in the first trial.
But
or
how
maybe
did the
she had a
brain
rogue
surgeon
juror
talk
or
about
10.
the arms?
Didn't mention it. That wasn't a part of the testimony.
Yeah.
So, I mean, where did those injuries come from? We're going to have animal/dog expert come in and talk about it. Let's take a listen to more, though, of Dr. Wolf. This guy's brilliant, by the way, like super brilliant. Yale Medical School, top of his class, etc. He's the guy you want to go to if you've got a problem. By the way, he has 7 brain surgeries scheduled for the rest of this week. 7. Let's take a listen.
After the fall, would Mr. O'Keefe, in your study and opinion, have died immediately?
No. The medical examiner took pictures of his periorbital area and diagnosed raccoon's eyes. So raccoon's eyes occur because there's leakage through the orbital fractures into the periorbital space. Normally, it takes about 24 to 48 hours to develop. It has been noted as early as 1 to 3 hours, which would make it not immediate.
So this may be subtle, but it's an important point, especially for prosecutors, because if you look at John O'Keefe, and obviously we're not showing those images on our screen, you may have seen them online, but the eyes, and that's why, you know, folks would look at that immediately and say, oh, he got beat up. But here he is explaining that that could be as a result of the fall, not dying immediately, and lying there.
I would take Dr. Wolf straight from Hollywood and bring him on any case that I had and let him testify. His demeanor, the way his attire, everything about the way he testifies tells me he's honorable
smart.
and truthful. He's extraordinarily smart.
Daryl's right. I'm laughing because it's kind of funny that we judge people by their cover, but he does look straight out of casting. He does look like somebody who's an expert. And then when he speaks, and then he does give us a very rational explanation for the raccoon eyes. And he says it with very big confidence. You know, that can happen within 1 to 3 hours. So then the jurors can go back to their room when they're going to contemplate the case at the end and remember that.
But that's what defense is going to say. They brought in this Hollywood-looking guy who he wasn't even there. He looked at what everyone else looked at and what they said, and he second-guessed. And it's long math. There's a fall, and there's a doctor, and there's the head, and we don't have an eyewitness. We don't have a confession. We don't have the A plus B equals C.
Well, there's an alleged confession.
Well,
I hit him.
You know.
Yeah, it's alleged.
Yeah,
it's alleged. It wasn't believed last time by the jury. What I find fascinating also about this witness going to credibility in contrast to yesterday's expert for the prosecution
Goofball.
is that this expert, this is not what he does. I mean, he does surgery. He's a surgeon. He saves lives. He's not an expert witness who bounces from courtroom to courtroom, so I think that helps him as well.
But he's not paid for. He's not a paid-for expert, as you point out, that goes from here to here to here.
But he's
he
paid
is here
for this.
one time only, OTO, one time only, to tell the truth based on his knowledge and his
But they went
experience.
outside of Massachusetts for him. They didn't find him
he's
local.
good. When we come back, where did the glass on the bumper of Karen Reed's SUV come from?
Item 3-2, the cup, and 6 of the pieces that you found to be a physical match from item 7-12. Did you also compare pieces from item 3-2, 7-12, and 7-14?
Yes, I did.
And what did you conclude in your physical match analysis of those items together?
So, upon examining and comparing item 3-2, 7-12, and 7-14, I had concluded that 6 of the 9 pieces of glass from 7-12 physically fit with item 3-2, and the remaining 3 of the 9 from 7-12 did not have a physical fit to item 3-2. I also compared item 3-2 and 7-12 to 7-14, but there was no physical match to item 7-14.
Now, in addition to that, did you also do a physical match analysis between item 3-2, the drinking glass, 7-12, pieces found from the roadway, and certain pieces from 3-3 from the bumper of the vehicle?
Yes, I did.
And what did you conclude based on that physical match analysis between those items?
So upon examining and comparing those items, so there were 5 total pieces of glass from item 3-3. I used 2 of those pieces for physical match comparison to the items recovered from the road. Upon my examination, I did not, there was no physical match between those 2 pieces from item 3-3 to any of the pieces recovered from the road. So that included items 3-2, 7-12, and 7-14.
Was that confusing? Was that a little confusing with the 7- this and the most? I would love to train witnesses in how to speak like humans, whether you're a police officer, a CSI, or anything else, because you're trying to convey information in a story to the jury. And that was a little rough, but I think it becomes a little clearer on cross-examination exactly what is matching to what in all this, because there's pieces of glass that are found. And remember, there was a cocktail glass that was taken from the Waterfall Bar and Grill that John O'Keefe apparently had in his hand when he exited Karen Reed's SUV. So this is really important. Take a listen.
3-2 on the left is the cup, correct?
Yes.
3-3 represents the 5 pieces of glass of what we call the bumper glass, A, B, C, D, and E, correct?
Yes.
7-12 is the 9 pieces of glass recovered by Trooper Buchanan at 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes.
And finally, 7-14 is the single piece of glass recovered by Trooper Proctor, correct?
Yes.
Taking these one by one, just so everybody see. Taking these one by one, looking at starting with the bumper glass, category 2. Piece A did not match the cup, anything in 712 or anything in 714, correct?
That's correct.
Piece B did not match the cup, did not match anything in 712, did not match anything in 714, correct?
That's correct.
And moving over to category 3, there were some matches in these 9 items, 6 of them, A, B, C, D, F, and K, correct?
Yes.
But what those matched, Ms. Hanley, with a cup, nothing on the bumper, correct?
Correct.
And what didn't match the cup were E, I, and L. Is that right?
That's correct.
Moving back to category 2, however, there was one thing, item E, that did match something in this series of categories. Isn't that correct?
Not a physical match, but instrumentally there was consistency.
All right. And this was an item, the only piece of bumper glass, the only piece of bumper glass to match anything else in your analysis. Matched what? What was consistent with what?
Item 3-3, piece E, was consistent in physical and instrumental properties with the sample that I took from item 7-14.
Which is the single piece of glass recovered by Michael Proctor, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Glass is found on the bumper of the SUV. None of it matches the cocktail glass. None of it matches anything else other than one piece matches some glass that was found by Trooper Proctor in the street. What's going on here?
Nothing. A whole lot of nothing, in my humble opinion. I think that cross was
Where did that
beautiful.
glass come from?
I think the cross was beautiful here because they made it into English. They made it in English and they gave us a nice little deal here, and they're basically implying that this glass came hours later.
They basically made them think the prosecution doesn't know what they're doing.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter what the facts were.
Where did the glass come from that's on the bumper?
Proctor planting it.
Why
That's how I read it.
Or so the implication would
Yes.
be. What bothered me the most about the prosecution was it was the worst example of A, not preparing a witness as to how to testify, and B, the prosecutor not understanding you refer to item number X, which is item number Y, which is. And it was so confusing that I think it was very hurtful to the prosecution to even go through this.
And then remember, when she got crossed on that very issue at the end, she kind of humma, and then she's like consistent with, and she used all these fancy words, and you could tell she was like, ugh, what do I say
Another
here?
question on the glass, though. Like, where did the glass come from? This SUV was taken into custody by the Massachusetts State Police in the middle of a blizzard, towed from her father's house and then brought back to the Sallyport. Where did it come from? What is it?
Would have been a good question to ask.
I think it's better argued.
That's why in the cross-examination, he didn't have to. He just pointed
He's going to argue about it.
You got it. He's going to say in closing.
Okay, let me play what I thought was a really important, big moment for prosecutors. More trace evidence, and this is what was found on according to prosecutors, on the clothing of John O'Keefe.
Starting with the clear plastic from the debris from Mr. O'Keefe's clothing. From your comparative analysis of that clear plastic to the clear plastic from item 3-1, the taillight, what did you conclude?
So the clear plastic from the debris was found to be consistent in color and instrumental properties to the clear plastic from the taillight. So accordingly, the clear plastic from the debris could have originated from the clear plastic from the taillight or from another source with the same characteristics. So the red plastic that I sampled from from the debris from the clothing from 7-18.18 was found to be consistent in color, microscopic appearance, and instrumental properties with the portions that I sampled from the red plastic from the taillight. So accordingly, the red plastic from item 7-18.18 could have originated from the red plastic that I sampled from the taillight or from another source with the same characteristics.
This is a big deal, but the question is for our think tank, did the prosecution land it? Because you're talking about fragments consistent with the taillight, two different colors on John O'Keefe.
Well, what she should have done, what the prosecution normally does when you cross somebody, excuse me, when you direct examination, you kind of have like headlines and you get the plot out, right? And then you say, so just so I understand, or let me break that down, let me back up a little bit and have it explained in English. Because I didn't understand the word she said, or now that's all over with, he's going to have to bring it up in closing.
It'd be fun on cross to just stand up and say, so based on all that stuff you just said, which I didn't understand, you're not telling me that Karen Reed is
objection,
guilty. You know,
with the comments.
But based on your testimony, you can't say that you believe how he was killed. I mean, it doesn't help. Would be my cross-examination.
I watched her testify, and what I saw was someone who knows what she's talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But is unable and incapable at this point in her professional career of conveying that to the jury.
But that's
I
the
saw body
prosecutor's
language.
job.
I saw body language of fright, and that tells me once again the prosecutors, and Meg said, should have thoroughly and exhaustively
This is
gone
a
over
big deal.
I
This
know,
is as
it's a
close
big
to a
issue.
smoking gun as you're going to get.
Yes.
Tail light fragments on the clothing of the victim.
That's what they're alleging. So why would you not back it up a little bit? When she's talking about 1614-3-39, whatever the hell she's saying, it's okay to talk like that, but it's prosecutor's job to break it down and make it into direct questions, one fact per question, when it's this complex.
Say it like Vinnie just said it. What you're saying is there were taillight fragments on the victim.
You can summarize. You're always allowed to do that. You know that.
Keep it, the KISS method, keep it short, stupid, keep it simple, stupid, and the last thing the prosecution did was not to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Did he just call me stupid?
Nah.
I know, only kidding. To me, this is like almost the headline of the case for prosecutors.
And it had no impact.
And they're doing it at the end, right? They're doing it at the end before a 5-day week. This should be the exclamation point at the end, and it kind of
Well, you end with
sputtered a little bit.
What was their singer? When do you say, you know, that famous line we see in all these movies, no further questions. It's got to come right after you hit a home run. There was no home run.
Irving Younger's not there. You can tell him that.
Yeah.
The guru of cross-examination.
Does the defense now have to raise the possibility or the opportunity for this evidence to have been planted?
I wouldn't.
I'd leave it be.
Leave it alone.
I would leave it be.
Say nothing. Don't even refer to it unless and until you decide to do it on closing argument.
I agree. I'd leave it be. What are
With
you going to
Vinnie
cross-examine?
Politan.
Leave it be and leave it sit and let it kind of go on past.
Yep.
But do you have to establish, like through a timeline, through a video, something involving some of these investigators or troopers that they'd have an opportunity to do this based upon when this evidence was collected? Because if it's with his clothing, it's at the hospital.
If you do that, it's very simple. You don't know how this glass got there, do you? You don't know if anybody put it there. It's got to be simple, 1-2 questions.
Yeah.
But is there any other way for the glass to have gotten there?
I would leave it alone. So it doesn't have as much power.
Just argue it because...
You leave it alone because it's powerful evidence.
Got it. Yes.
It's a time bomb.
And you don't give her a chance
It's
to
a
explain.
minefield.
TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. All right. What a great job. Daryl Cohen, Meg Strickler, Randy Kessler, thank you all so much. We'll see you very soon. But I need a long holiday weekend first. When we come back, I will reveal something else you need to know tonight, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, the retrial of the century continues in Dedham, Massachusetts. Karen Reed on trial for the murder of her boyfriend, John O'Keefe. What are the most important digital timestamps, and how do we know if they are accurate? We'll bring in our own experts to investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates, coming up next, only on Court TV.
How can anybody think I'm guilty? I said, OJ, everybody thinks you're guilty.
Trial and error. Why did OJ win? Marathon begins Saturday morning, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
Welcome back. Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's see what's happening in the world of crime and justice. Trial day 8 in the Diddy sex trafficking case in New York City. Court TV legal correspondent Kelly Craft is in the city with the latest.
Good evening to you, Vinnie. The day started and ended with testimony about personal items that were seized from Sean Combs' Miami mansion, and also testimony about items that Sean Combs wanted to be brought to his hotel room before the freak-offs would take place. This morning, we heard from Special Agent Gannon, a Homeland Security investigator who photographed items in Combs' closet, which included firearms, a Gucci bag containing drugs, and red platform high heels. Jurors also heard from Dr. Dawn Hughes, a domestic violence expert, who explained why it would be difficult for a victim to leave an abusive relationship. She said victims with abusive partners often fear the threat of more violence and can be so damaged psychologically they do not seek help. The last person to testify was George Kaplan, a former employee of Combs, and he testified that his role was to prepare the hotel rooms before Combs arrived. He told the jury that Diddy threatened his job monthly, and he described one incident in which he failed to get a gallon of BPA-free water and got 2 half gallons instead. He said Combs became angry and got into his face. And Vinnie, Kaplan returns to the stand tomorrow. Federal prosecutors are expected to call 5 witnesses, including Kid Cudi, who is expected to testify about his relationship, the romantic one, between him and Cassie Ventura. That's the latest from Lower Manhattan. We'll send it back to you.
All right, big thanks to Kelly Craft in New York City. Now, just a reminder, you can head over to CourtTV.com to view some of the exhibits that have been presented during this trial. We'll be updating the page regularly with new exhibits each and every day. And what's interesting in the way the case is developing, you put the employees on the stand, now you're getting closer to proving a RICO case. Right now, folks, we need your help. There is a missing child out there. Her name is Rose Jones. Rose is just 17 years old, missing out of Phoenix, Arizona since May 13th. This is what you need to do. Take a look at the photo. If you see Rose, pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference. You can call 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Glendale Police Department out in Arizona. That phone number's on your screen right now. Let's see if we can get Rose to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next as we dive into the Karen Reed retrial. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.